Here we go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here in support of the Netflix film Blue Miracle and the soundtrack, which was executive produced by Reach Records. So joining us today, we have the awesome Julio Quintana, who is the director and co-writer of the film. We have Lecrae, multi Grammy Award winning and platinum selling artist. GAWVI, 6-time Dove Award winning artist and Grammy Award winning producer. We have two awesome new artists on the Reach Records roster, WHATUPRG and 1K Phew, who are breaking and making waves in this music industry. And we are hosted today, the first 30 minutes, I think everybody knows, we're doing a moderated interview hosted by the awesome Ruslan of King's Dream Outlier. And I'm going to let him take it off, and then we will do a 30-minute Q&A, or 20 or 30 minutes, however much we have left, and do a Q&A. So I'm going to let y'all take it over.
All right.
Don't everybody speak at once now. Let's slow down. There's too many questions coming at us.
Hey guys, congratulations on the film. I had a chance to watch it last night. It was really, really inspiring. The story, obviously, of the orphanage in Mexico, and Julio, you did a great job with it. Why do you think this is something that the world needs to see in the context of this film, in terms of the story of these boys winning this incredible fishing tournament, having never fished before?
Well, I think that we've all come out of a year of a lot of not so great news. It's an understatement, and I think that I think that we could use a balance of some positive, real stories, not because I think that it'd be easy to just make up something, to make up a fictional story that has a positive message and try to toss it into the mix of everything we're doing, but I think it has more resonance to know that this is something that really happened, that good things do happen all the time. And so I think bringing that, highlighting that sort of situation so that people can see that, like, I mean, we're all struggling in different ways. It's hard. Not all of us are struggling more than orphans in Cabo San Lucas after a hurricane destroys their home. So if they can find ways if they can find hope, and they can ultimately overcome and find meaning in their situation, I think that hopefully it's a little inspiring for us to kind of change our perspective and find it in our own as well.
And is hope the big main idea you would want people to walk away with in terms of this film? Just a sense of hope, a sense of gratitude, and making the most of what we have.
I think so. I think hope is the, I mean, most movies in this genre can kind of fall under the broader category of hope. I think maybe specifically to this film, it's there's themes that are kind of in line with GAWVI and Lecrae's "Fight for Me" song, which is there's this the theme of fatherhood and mentorship, and what does it mean to be a good father? What does it mean to what does it mean to reconnect with the feeling of having lost connection with your own father in the past, and how do you move forward without having a father figure anymore, and now that burden has been falling onto yourself. So I think I also, there's themes about we all as a culture we value worldly success, and there's good reason for that, but I also think so this movie kind of gets into some of the debates that every father and every mother, frankly every parent, has to manage, which is how do you balance your professional aspirations with your responsibilities as a parent, and what are you willing, what are the trade-offs? And for me personally, I made my first film when I didn't have kids, and then this film I had 3 kids, and when I made my first film, I thought that was the most important thing that I could ever possibly do, and when I made my second film, I realized I had 3 other things that were just as important as what I was doing on set. I mean, frankly, more important, but for the purpose of this, this movie is as important as my children. But I think that's a very important. I think it's a very important message for people just to kind of struggle with, and it's something that I struggle with also as a father, and my wife struggles with, and everybody I know, every professional I know struggles with that. How do we contribute to the world in a way that doesn't neglect our personal responsibilities, and make sure that we're giving the watering the seeds of the next generation as well. You know, it's very important. It's a very important balance for everybody.
That's fantastic. Tell me about the role of music playing into this. There's a scene in the film where he turns to them and he says, you need to fight for them. I need you to fight for them. And it almost felt like it was like the song Fight For Me was, did you guys have that in mind before, or was that just completely spontaneous and the song just worked? Because it fit so perfect with the outro of the film and the theme of the song that GAWVI and Lecrae wrote.
Yeah, well, so no, we made the movie, and I think probably a lot of people on this call maybe don't believe in coincidences so much, and I think whenever that song was presented to me, and it was and just the song was exactly the right tone that we were going for, and then the words were exactly the right words we were going for, and I looked at the music video and it looks like deleted scenes from my movie. I mean, it's just like, it's weird. And so there was a synergy there that I think it's coincidence or destiny, depending on how you want to look at things. So it certainly it felt like it immediately just kind of elevated the film in a way that I couldn't have planned ahead of time. I probably none of us could have. It's just those things happen. So.
Yeah, I thought Reach did a fantastic job on the soundtrack. 11 new songs dropping May 27th, the same day as the film comes out. GAWVI, you and Lecrae put this song together a couple of years ago in 2017, and now there's the Blue Miracle version of it. Lecrae, GAWVI, feel free to chime in on this. What's it feel like to see a song potentially get like a new birth and a new energy? The song was already viral, trending on Spotify, viral top 50 when it came out. I remember seeing that. And now it like has a whole new life and there's another verse on it. So I would love to hear from GAWVI and Lecrae touching on it.
Yeah, I think it's always an honor when a song comes from like a real place and then it has its life of its own that you don't even expect it. I was going through my emotional moment. I was like, God, where you at? I need you to fight for me right now. And those are, I call it magic moments where it really bleeds into the audience and then it lives on. And I think this is like probably one of the third movies on Netflix I've been part of. And this film, it just feels so perfect with it, kind of like how you were touching base. You know, whether you want to call it coincidence or not, I think it just all fits so perfectly. And yeah, it's just an honor.
That's amazing. Do you like the new version, the extended version that has more of a Latin feel with the second verse on it?
Yeah, I really love what Reach Records was able to do and bringing in Tommy into the song. And I think it's fire. Like, I love Tommy. Tommy's a great artist too. He's a friend of mine. So making this version for the movie is special.
That's awesome. One of my favorite verses in the scriptures is true religion is care for the widow, care for the orphan. And I feel like this film completely exemplifies the spirit and the energy of that passage. It wasn't an overtly religious film, but it had really strong, inspiring undertones. Lecrae, as someone who's built schools and done a lot of work behind the scenes, how do you see this reconciling in terms of just your own life and the work you've done, and then seeing and being a part of a film like this that kind of exemplifies the gospel in a lot of ways and stuff that you've done behind the scenes? And I know a lot of folks in this chat have done behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, this journey is sometimes it's about being distinct. Sometimes it's about being explicit. And sometimes it's about humble excellence and service. And I feel like, you know, this film first and foremost captures the excellence. You know, Julio made a excellent quality film, and that's what's extremely important. If it was just about a message, you know, you wouldn't need it to be creative. You just put a message on the screen, right? Like, take care of the orphans, then and walk out of the theater. But it's the craftsmanship that was put around it that was important. And for us, that's inspiring. That helps us as artists to create and to craft and to dream and to want to be, you know, I mean, be inspired and be connected to it. So, so yeah, you know, it's the humble excellence, it's the servitude. Obviously, it's that picture of service. You know, you know, my faith is all about a story. It's us believing in a story of service, of sacrifice. And if we believe that, then that's, you know, something that we would exemplify in our everyday lives.
The beautiful part about art, music, culture is it can shift people's actions, and it could shift how we engage in this society. Do you think a film like this, packaged with a song like this, will inspire people to be more generous towards giving to more orphanages, to starting more schools, to helping more disenfranchised neighborhoods and areas and people groups?
Yeah, I know RG and Phew have already been planning on like putting out music, and all of the proceeds going toward, you know, like Mexico City and East Atlanta. And so I think they're already inspired. You know, we'll see if they really, you know, get the music done and do something like that. But you know, it's cool.
That's
RG
awesome.
and Phew is on the clock. Ruslan, I think you think that this is your interview with Lecrae. But I'm just messing around, man. Congrats, GAWVI, to you having 3 songs in the top 20 for Latin Christian radio, man. I'm proud of you. Happy birthday to Phew. Yo, RG, we need New Hollywood. But what made this, Julio and Lecrae and GAWVI, all the artists, what actually made this make sense, right? What was it when you guys looked at this, you were like, okay, we need to partner in knocking this out?
I'm gonna just lay this up to GAWVI and RG, because one of the things Reach Records has been really passionate about is focusing on the global community, you know, with Sin Vergüenza, you know, GAWVI's project, even the Afrobeat remix, like it's been global. So I'll let them talk about why that's important in this film and whatnot. But.
Hey, also just chiming in real quick, everybody, if we can hold our questions until the end, and then we will, after this moderated interview, and we'll take your questions afterwards. Thanks so much.
Bro,
So we holding to the end, or?
Yes, hold your open Q&A till the end, and then we're gonna have Ruslan just finish up this interview here, and then we'll send out the recording afterwards.
How much of Reach pivoting over to the Latin market with GAWVI, WHATUPRG, do you think is impactful in terms of reaching a broader audience and it being such a fly tie-in to a movie like Blue Miracle?
Yeah, I think we just it's just tight, bro. The fact that we got this opportunity to not just, you know, we make music. Like we made Ambiente with Tommy in my room. Like just one night at like just making music. So the fact that this music is gonna reach people outside of, you know, like way past where we're at, and the message that we got, I feel like it's just gonna be, it's just special. It's special. Reach, we're always been about like literally reaching people. But
would you say there's a greater desire to be more versatile with the styles of music, RG, because it's evolving and flowing between genres so effortlessly, between hip hop, between pop, between Latin?
Yeah, I think everybody's just being authentically themselves. Like me and Tommy, we both grew up on reggaeton, and that's the track that we got. GAWVI's whole album is Spanish and reggaeton, and it has our own influences. So I think God gave us our stories, our backgrounds, everything that we've gone through, all of our influences for a purpose. And I think that's to reach the people that connect to it. And I feel like the opportunity we got to, you know, drop a movie on Netflix with our songs is huge.
Was the music on the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is fire, was the music custom built for the movie, or was this stuff that was kind of in the vault that was able to be pieced together effortlessly? Because I know everybody over there is, you know, workhorses. You guys create a lot. So was it pretty effortlessly to piece together the soundtrack, or did you guys make stuff kind of intentionally for the soundtrack?
Yeah, well, they got the Fight For Me remix with Tommy.
Right.
I think there was another song in there. But my song was already out, and yeah, I think they did a great job at just taking what we had and piecing it together and making it work with the movie.
I kind of felt like it was all at a great timing too, because as the movie was wrapping up and coming to that point of choosing music, we were just releasing releasing that new music of, you know, Sin Vergüenza, the Reach Records Lion album, and then my album, Noche Juvenil, where I feel like the stars just kind of aligned and it all made sense to make this connect happen.
I got a question for Julio. Julio, how much of this was shot on location and how much of this was shot in a studio? Because I was doing some of the research behind it, and some of it seems like it was shot on like a stage, water stage type of situation, but some of it was also done on location in Cabo, or so it appeared. I've been to Cabo before. So in terms of the making of this, how difficult was this to piece together? It's what felt like a high production, high value, high elite type of movie.
Yeah, so the obviously the real story set is based on the tournament in Cabo San Lucas that happens every year in October. And so what we did, but it was more cost effective, and they had a big water tank we wanted to use in the Dominican Republic. And so what we did was we shot. I went with my brother and my wife, and when we shot all the drone footage of the tournament, got the big white expanses of the rocks, the stone arch, and all the marina and all the boats taking off and all that. And then we took that footage and we matched it. We shot on a water tank in the Dominican Republic, a combination of shooting on a water tank, which is essentially a giant infinity pool on the beach. And so there's boats just floating in that. And so we would get most of this movie is shot there. We shot for about a day out in the open ocean. But that's just miserable, you know, everybody's vomiting and you can't light anything, and it's awful. So it was like, so we went out there just for the boat. Whenever we need the boat to move a little bit, went out there and get a couple shots, and then we just went straight back to the tank, because the open ocean is no joke, especially with little kids. Once the kids start puking, man, your day's pretty much done. So.
How involved was Omar and the original characters? Because sometimes when you're making stuff based on a story, you take some creative license in the process, and how much of it was the folks involved in telling the story, a part of the story, how much of it was you guys taking some creative license and kind of sticking to the big ideas, but you know, dramatizing it a bit?
Yeah, we went, when I went to Cabo, we met Omar, we did a long interview with him, he gave us this whole story, and so I would say that all the general facts of what happened are true, all that the storm did, you know, without giving away the film, but this storm did destroy it messed up the orphanage. They didn't know what they were going to do for money, because the storm did cause them to be able to get into the tournament. Like that actually changed the rules that year so they could get into the tournament, and ultimately, you know, all the facts of the things played out. The embellishment stuff is more like the goal when you're telling a true story is you listen to what they tell you and you want to recreate how it felt to them. And so sometimes, you know, from an outside perspective, something feels more dramatic when you're experiencing it than maybe it looks from the outside. So then you just heighten the drama to make it feel more like what it felt to them. And so I would say, you know, and funny enough, I would say one of the biggest adjustments is that, you know, I think we gave Omar some more doubt as he was about the outcome of the tournament, because to kind of give him an arc, and so he could have a struggle, and it could be sort of an exploration of even more faith. Omar's an extremely faithful person, and so in some ways we actually had to give a little bit more doubt to have that dramatic arc about how this is actually come across, because he's an amazing guy. As you can imagine, somebody who's devoted their life to orphans is, well, you can guess how faithful he actually is. So.
Julio, do you think that films like this will drive donors to organizations like this? I kind of mentioned that to Lecrae earlier, but do you think films like this, because I looked up the Orphanage, and then it makes me inspired to give to other orphanages, that folks that are just consuming this, watching this on Netflix, that media can move the needle in funding some of these places, because like we wouldn't have known this place existed, or places like this necessarily exist in other parts of the world. And so do you think that could be an actual way to move the needle for people in countries like America that are prosperous in a lot of ways, can contribute to other parts of the world?
Yeah, I think it absolutely, you know, it can draw attention. This can draw attention to that specific orphanage, Casa Hogar, for sure, and I'm sure that's going to happen. I think that's kind of speaking more probably to what you're asking, is that I think that this sort of story for me, the importance of a story like this is humanizing kids that are in those situations, in those places. And so just generally, the next time, you know, if somebody who doesn't have any real exposure to that world, the next time they hear about, you know, kids just stuck in the border or anything like that, they have a face and emotional connection to that whole kind of group situation that I think can then compel people to follow their hearts and make decisions on a day-to-day basis, aside from this specific orphanage. Obviously, that wasn't for me. Like anytime you're telling a story, that especially if it's inspiring, the main goal of the craft is to make the audience connect and feel empathy with the people that are watching. So if you can make people connect, if you make people in Dallas, affluent people in Dallas connect with a poor kid in Cabo San Lucas, and that's I think only positive things can come out of that ultimately.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the antidote to a lot of what we've been seeing in terms of this kind of war on empathy that we see across society right now, where, you know, people just kind of shut off because it's not in their direct line of sight. But when you see a film like this and you see the heart behind it, I think it could definitely move the needle. And I would hope that we would see more movies like this on such a broad scale of Netflix. And what was it like for you to work with Netflix in this whole process of putting together something that has some fairly strong tones religiously, and as well as, you know, the empathy side of things?
Well, Netflix has been great all along, and they are specifically the team that we've been working with is great in this space already. And I think that, you know, I think my goal is similar. I think it seems like that what Reach's goal is as well is to try to present a certain, you know, a more positive message, but at the same level of craft that the mainstream or even the secular media is also presenting these things. So I think we have a responsibility. Sometimes message films of all kinds, messages of all, whether far left, far right, religious, atheist. Once people set out to send a message, a lot of times they neglect the craft of what they're trying to do. And I think we have a responsibility to be as good as, you know, go back 400 years, and the most talented artists on the planet were, their sculptures were still hold up to this day, and the paintings on their ceilings still hold up to this day because they knew their craft. And I think that we as artists need to be as good as anyone else, and not expect audiences just to turn out because it's a nice movie or it's not offensive. Because I think that sometimes films in this genre have sometimes gotten the benefit of just not being offensive, just not having bad words, just not having nudity. And I think that to really elevate this genre to another level, you know, I have to do the same thing that Reach has been doing, which is that can't just be enough. Like I can't be getting sympathy views. I need to be as compelling as the secular counterparts, and so that's something that I'm working on, and, you know, getting better. So
yeah, when media movies are driven strictly by ideology, the creative side can suffer. And so I think that's, you know, watching what GAWVI's done, Lecrae's done, Phew, this film specifically, I think it delivers creatively on an elite level. And then the messaging is, I think, way more receptible when the quality is there. So kudos to you guys, man. Killer job on the film, killer job on the soundtrack. Very, very inspiring top to bottom. So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see where this all goes and how big it's received, hopefully on the Netflix platform. So congratulations, Julio.
thank you very much.
All right, that's it. That's all I got, Christina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruslan. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. We will go ahead and get into the Q&A. Unfortunately, I do know, Lecrae, you have to hop off. I believe you have another meeting, but I love everybody's graphics on here. They're awesome. I appreciate everybody's staying on. Lecrae, do you have any other final word before you have to hop off? Oh, wait, you're on mute.
I'm muted. Sorry about that. Nah, the biggest thing I would just say is that, again, I'm extremely honored to be a part of this project. I think it's just the first of many more things in this space to come. And you know, again, Julio did a phenomenal job. Really proud of these artists for, putting their best foot forward. And, and in a season where there's so much going on. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and they were still able to make a lot of this stuff happen. So I'm very grateful. And thank y'all all for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. We will take it up for questions. I'm going to put it into gallery view here so I can see everybody. Go ahead and we'll if you want to raise the hand on the emoji, and we'll, the artists and Julio will be able to answer some questions for you. Anyone? Kayla.
Hi. So this question is for Javi and for WHATUPRG. Now, how important was it for you to bring your Latin culture to a film that also highlights, Mexican orphanage? What was that experience like for you to bring your own culture to this film that also highlights other Latin cultures?
Yeah, it was I mean, it's cool. It's cool to me. I like I just can't wait to show my mom on Netflix, really. I don't know, G, what you?
Yeah, just I'm always proud to show my Latin roots. So connecting, what we do what we are as Latinos with this movie, special. I'm always about that. And like RG said, I'm excited to show my mom and my dad.
Awesome. Anyone else who's next? I can't say, oh, Michael, I can see your hands now. Sorry, ready. Michael, Faust, go for it.
Great. Thank you. This message is for anybody. I was really impacted by the film's message and theme about fatherhood. You had a father who had been absent and weighed, and then you had some of the boys in the orphanage whose fathers weren't there, and then you had Omar, who was really, really trying to be their father. So could you anybody speak to the message about fatherhood and the importance of it, and maybe what you hope the viewer gets out of the movie about fatherhood? Thanks.
I can definitely speak to that. That was a theme that I kind of put into it. The thing is, when you tell any story, it's like the way you get across you have to design the character struggles based on the plot, and this was what we had here was a story of these kids that enter this fishing tournament, and he is a father figure to these children, and so the father element was just built in. The combination of fatherhood and faith were just sort of built into the fabric of that situation. Yeah. I am personally now, like when I made my first film a few years ago, I didn't have any kids, and now when I made this one, I had 3 children under 5, and my wife and I had to go work on it, and it completely changed the experience of making the film. And I think that the way I think, I think is the way you make a film or any story or even music compelling is that it has to be coming from a real place inside you. And I think that even if people aren't parents themselves, they can at least feel that this was coming from a real struggle. And I think that for me personally, it's always the constant struggle of how much time do I allocate, trying to further my career at the expense of spending time with my children, and vice versa. What level of career success do I set to the side, or what opportunities do I set to the side to make sure that I'm there for them and can go to the soccer games and all that? And I think, I just took that internal struggle, because I is constantly every day struggling with the importance of fatherhood and how to be a good father, and so I laid that over the top of what Omar was going through, and he's going through a much more heightened version of that struggle. And I think, and also Captain Wade as well is dealing with his own flawed philosophy of fatherhood. And I think that, with something like this, you set up both characters sort of to have a debate about what fatherhood is, and what the merits of one approach are versus another, and versus what is a real contribution to the world. And I think in the end, it's a nuanced thing. And I even learned about myself over the course of doing this film. Whenever I made the film, whenever I wrote it, I thought Omar's philosophy was 100% correct, and Captain Wade's philosophy was 100% incorrect. And but actually Dennis improvised a couple of lines. At one point he says, well, if you want to teach those kids to be losers their whole life, that's your problem, but I don't want any part of it. and I didn't write that line. I wrote some other line I don't remember, but he added like, teaching them to be losers. And what I realized when he said that was that Omar was actually, he was lowering their expectations to the point of not actually aiming for the fish, not actually aiming for the trophy anymore. And I thought, like, man, am I doing that? I wonder if that, I think I might be doing that sometimes. And so I think that when you tell a story and you really truly, like, it comes from a real place, you kind of inevitably learn things and grow, and it becomes more nuanced. And everybody has been saying that the film is not explicit or heavy-handed. And I think that's because if you explore something real that you're not 100% sure about and you try to explore it in a real way, truth kind of emerges, and so anyways, that's a long way of saying I don't have an explicit message about fatherhood, but I do think that it's important to constantly look at, if you're a father, or if you have a father that you have a relationship with your father, that I think that's a very important relationship that not everybody has. And if you don't, so if you have it, you should be grateful and try to make the most of it. And if somebody doesn't have it, then try to be that for them in some way, So it's kind of a nuanced global. I think fatherhood is an important part of society that is sometimes devalued, and I think we would do better. We would do well to, as men, to step up to the plate more and make sure that we're there for the young people when they need them. So,
absolutely, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. Jeannie, you're up.
Hey guys, this question is for the artist. GAWVI, maybe you can kick us off. But wanted to ask, how can hip hop or reggaeton or music be used as a tool to share the hope of Christ with people that are disenfranchised? We see these boys, and there's not every time that an Omar is going to be able to reach them, but what you guys do is very influential. How have you seen, you guys are all men of faith, your music be able to kind of reach those type of people, or all people, but disenfranchised people, with the message of the hope of Christ?
Yeah, I think I remember being younger, listening to a lot of reggaeton and hip hop that definitely wasn't good to listen to, as far as some of the wordings that they would talk about in it. And my mom was very intentional about trying to be careful of what I listened to. And as I grew up loving music and stuff, I always wanted to create music that was fire, but at the same time gave message of hope and Christ. And I think with this movie, it does both. Like, it gives a great message in a movie that is going to be fire. It's really well shot, great storyline. Like, it keeps you interested the whole time. And I think the music is up to par with that. All the guys that are part of this process, I'm excited to see how younger people or just all around, all ages, people will be excited to hear hip hop and reggaeton that is quality music, but gives a great message. So I think these two things go great together.
Right. How about anybody else? Raul or 1K for you?
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool to have this. For me, I grew up listening to I could only listen to like Christian rap. So having dope Christian artists now that are, I mean, we had them back then, but I feel like everybody's pushing and connecting more to themselves and just creating the most authentic music we can make. I feel like it's tight to see it, be at the place where it's at, to where, it used to be where they couldn't place like Christian music anywhere. Now it's about to be premiered on a Netflix film. Like, it's really cool how far the space has come, and it's just exciting. I can't wait to see where everything goes moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's hard. I ain't really hear the question like that, but from what he was saying, I definitely feel like the route we're going in and just the season we in, it's just time for it. I mean, even like mainstream and worldly artists, like, they out here saying, like, using gospel like slogans and like just using everything we've been doing. You feel what I'm saying? I just feel like God about to come take his kingdom back, because everything belongs to God at the end of the day. It's just the world took it and put a negative spin on it, but everything belongs to God. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like it's just time. It's just time for him to come take the kingdom back. That's all. So we just doing it bigger and better. And I don't even think we know how big it's about to be. You feel what I'm saying? This is literally just the beginning. So I'm excited just to see what's about to come.
Amen. I'm proud of you guys. Keep it up.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jeannie. Justin, I'm gonna call on you next.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I think I know most of the people on this call. So my question actually involves Lecrae, who's not here, but I know how he's going into this film initiative, and then we have Phew. You've been doing a bunch of movies. Wande is going to be on a reality show. So is this sort of the next step for Reach Records, where everyone's going to kind of branch out if they have the opportunity to be involved in some sort of film, whether it be music or acting or anything else?
I think with Reach Records, it's been awesome to see them grow into different spaces. So I think I can speak for Raul and Phew right now. Us as the artists at Reach Records, we're so excited that the team is expanding, whether it's on a video game. I know Phew's landed a couple times on video games, or whether it's in a movie. It's awesome to see music that is hopeful and about faith that can spread out to the world in different platforms. So yeah, you guys might see me doing a little Denzel real quick and act real quick. I've always wanted to be a little actor. Julio, we got to talk next time. Put me in the movie. But yeah, there we go.
I have a follow-up, if I can, for Julio. How aware do you think people are in the film industry of Christian hip hop and kind of the accessibility and the talent and the ability to do these awesome movies and films and shows and just make these great moves within the industry together?
Within the film industry, I would say probably not familiar at all. I think that's I think the general the feeling I get is in general is that Christian filmmaking, Christian music tends to be seen as maybe not as developed of an industry as the secular counterparts. And I think that these guys, what they're doing here at Reach Records, it's completely different. I mean, they completely stand out. I just even if just from the content standpoint, I can't put 99% of reggaeton over my movie. It wouldn't even get the messaging, the ratings, everything about it is like, it's very difficult to find anything in that space that's not negative in terms of its messaging. And so these guys, I think we need to, I'm hoping that this film will help in some way, but frankly, their music is going to helping my film get out. So it's a synergy of co-discovery of, introducing our movie to all of their fans, and then introducing their music to all the Netflix viewers. And I think that I don't think that the general culture right now has the understanding that there's people of faith that can perform the craft at the same level as everyone else. And I think that's the thing that we need to change, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. All right, Misa and Mia, you are up.
All right, sounds good. What's going on, everybody? We're Misa and Mia from, you already know, it's Eminem Live Radio. And my question is for Julio. One thing that I fell in love with so much regarding this film is the fact that it's based on a true story. And my question is, were you able to, or were you, the cast or the crew, able to connect with anyone from the actual true story at all during the filming process?
Oh yeah. We went to Casagrad in Cabo, and we spent a few days there, and with Omar, interviewed him and got to talk to the people who helped him found that organization. And so no, absolutely, we tried very hard. His faith is completely integral to everything he does, and which is what I think drives what he does there at Gasogad and what he does in his life in general. And so I think we did a good job of capturing the essence of what he's trying to accomplish as a person, as a man in that environment. So most of the liberties we took, of course, were just like the stylistic, what the organ, the building was not as blue as I made it, everything I made it. So, but no, absolutely, we connected with them, and they're really excited. Them and the Bisbees who run the tournament have been very helpful all along, and they let us go shoot there. So we've had involvement from the real people the whole time.
I think that's so cool that you guys were able to connect. I think that's so awesome. Now, my question is for Phew. Even though I know you dominate of course, Atlanta sound and all that, I can't ignore the fact that you're a young director yourself in the game, dropping 3 short films last year. So I wanted to ask you, since I know you're so experienced in the music craft, but then you're also dabbling into film with it, of course, like talking about Blue Miracle and things like that. What are some of your inspirations or aspirations and goals when it comes to you as a director, coming up?
Man, just relating with people and not making it seem like a movie. Like when I want people to, I want to get to the point where you watch my movies, it's like you feel like you're a part of it. You're feeling it instead of watching it. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where I kind of want to be with my music too. It's like, instead of hearing it, I want you to feel it. I want you to feel where I'm coming from. So I just wanna bring that over to the movie world, and just continue to take notes and continue to grow. Like I look up to films like Blue Miracle and films with a purpose and a meaning, because that's what I'm all about, purpose. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody on this call has a purpose. You feel what I'm saying? So that's my main thing, and just branching out and showing people, like from Latonia or from the east side or wherever you from, like that you can do it. That like whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Like, and I know I'm kind of going off a little bit, but even when I got into movies, I didn't know nothing about movies. So I didn't know nothing about directing and stuff like that, but I just used the resources God gave me and just started to walk in it. Like, I feel like some people sometimes be afraid to walk in their purpose because they don't see it. You feel what I'm saying? But you just got to walk in and just keep having faith. And that's really it.
That's good. That's really good.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Josh.
Thank you, Christina. Love this film. Love the soundtrack as well. Wanted to start with GAWVI, if I could. The soundtrack, it covers a lot of genres from, dream pop, maybe similar to Sunflower. Obviously the reggaeton kind of party anthems. Was there a certain kind of musical thesis that kept the project unified?
I like when I listen through the whole soundtrack. My favorite parts are the reggaeton parts. I like the cohesiveness of that, but everything bleeds in really good. I think that's answering the question, right? Or did I?
Yeah, was there anyone else in terms of who was involved on the music side of it? Have any thoughts on kind of how this kind of stuck together, despite all the diversity of styles there?
Yeah, I think it was all a team effort, Reach Records team, and then also Julio's team coming together and everyone enjoying it at the same time and being happy about it.
And just a quick one for Julio, if I could. People maybe hear the basics of this story and they might think this is kind of a Hallmark movie, How did you seek to bring kind of that realism and really a grit to this film?
Well, I mean, yeah, the reality is that it helps that I don't actually typically watch this sort of movie. I mean, I think most of I think maybe like a lot of these guys here, it's like probably before they started making Christian music, they weren't just sitting around just listening to Christian music. And so I think I just try to treat the story with the same standards that anybody would telling a mainstream story. It just happens to be inspiring. You try to have the emotional truth without, I mean, the reality is this movie should have been Spanish. Those kids really speak Spanish, so we chose to make it in English to make it accessible, to try to help American audiences connect with these kids so that, that was an important part of the mission. So we take some license on the grittiness of it, but we still, with the emotional truths, I think we try to keep that as realistic as possible. And I think that the best way to do that is just try to make sure that every moment you make feels emotionally true and doesn't feel like it's just you're being lazy and just trying to push a little message or something. That you give the struggle its due and let the characters struggle through some real situations that people can relate to.
So good. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Ryan.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Track Stars. My question is for Julio. Julio, the group touched on some really great questions, so it kind of there's bits and pieces in my mind that I won't go to. But really, what I want to know is how can we, as platforms and media influencers, help further the vision that God has given you? What can we do to help make this release even more special, and in future projects that you work on, how can we help you with God's vision and what He's given to you?
You know, I'm not on any social media, so I'm not on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I mean, I'm probably the least literate. I'm essentially an 80-year-old man when it comes to this stuff. So there's things that you guys would have probably, you guys would be the ones telling me the best way to get this stuff out. I think I've taken the approach of just trying to do the best work that I possibly can and trying to be available when the experts tell me this, to be available and just speak honestly about the subject. And I think that I've been lucky enough to now be surrounded by, experts in marketing and publicity and things like that. I would say, in general, if the best thing that I wish, other, content creators and everybody can do is just do a good job. Just do it better. Put in the same amount of work that you would expect anybody else to put in. And if there's something that from my film that resonates and inspires somebody to go make better music or to do a better whatever it is, then that's all I can ask for, really.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. All right, Jay.
Hey guys, this is Jay from the Cruise Hip Hop Corner, the most dangerous show within Christian hip hop. Hey, this question is more or less just for everybody as a unit. What made this partnership? I asked this earlier when I wasn't supposed to. My bad, Ruslan. What makes this partnership, kind of work? Was it one of those things where you went, you were like, okay, I need music that isn't vulgar, and you went to the Sync department. They're like, oh, here's Reach. Did you have a relationship beforehand? What was it that kind of made this decision make sense to you?
Yeah, I didn't have a relationship with Reach. I wish I had, but I wasn't cool enough back then. So now I did need music that was not offensive, and I need music that didn't undermine the overall goals of the film, which was to try to put something positive out there that people can share with their family, and it was Reach was just the perfect partner. I was fortunate that they agreed to it, and that was really it. They asked earlier about how the music was compiled, the specific list. There's music on the soundtrack. The official soundtrack is not in the film, but as far as which is really I love that. But as far as the songs that are in the movie, that was a matter of just they just gave me an open menu of all this amazing music, and I got to try it against picture. And you don't really ever know how something works until you put it against the scene, and it sort of comes to life in a way you didn't expect. So that happened over and over and over again with these tracks. It was a lot of times the difficulty was trying to figure out. Sometimes there's a song you want to use in 3 places and you can't figure. You just got to decide. I think a lot of it. I think that the combination of the message of Reach, but also the fact that they are, you listen to a Reach song, you don't think it's not just suspended acoustic guitar chords or something. Like you don't know that this is fake music until you really dig into it. And and that's what I think that we're trying to do with Blue Miracle as well. I didn't set out specifically to make a faith film. I tried to make a movie about somebody exploring their faith and ultimately overcoming obstacles. And I think so Reach felt like the right. I mean, they just elevated the film in a way that was perfect.
GAWVI, RG, I was asking you guys this earlier about this being so big for you guys. What does this actually mean? Like, I know you guys at some point when you guys were in your music careers were like, man, I'm going to get my music here. Like, people are going to be able to hear this. Mama, I made it. I hear you guys say, I can't wait to show our moms. But how big is this? On top of you guys actually have been really going hard with this Latin music, trying to expose a culture that has a little representation of it.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. all of my cousins had babies during quarantine, And it's like, I was thinking about it like, yo, they got somebody close to them that they could see, like, fought for his dreams and got there. Like, it's attainable to them. And I think for me, it's like, it's just cool because kids that look like me in Mexico, kids that look like me down the street and on at Don Pedro's can like watch a movie on Netflix and see that, like, and hear somebody that looks like them, hear somebody that like connects with them. And yeah, for me, it's just cool. It's just cool because I didn't have that growing up. So being able to be that for other people is tight.
It's fire. And just a last question, Phew, you've been, you've had songs on 2K, video games, different things like this. How does this compare? Having your music, on a film where, you can actually go to Netflix and hear you being a part of a film. How does this compare to the video game aspect?
Mama, we made it.
Yeah.
Nah, man. I don't know, man, because all that was just kind of crazy to me. Like, that was the first, I'm getting a lot of firsts. You feel what I'm saying? I'm in this stage of my career where a lot of firsts are happening for me. So that was the first I was ever on a video game. And this is the first time my music is on Netflix. So to be honest, I don't know how to feel. It's all God. I know that sounds cliche or anything like that, but it's literally, I literally just be walking and stuff, bro. I don't be trying to plan nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Every time I try to plan something go wrong, but if you just, just walking God plan, everything gonna fall together. So just with the Blue Miracle being on Netflix and just everything, all the opportunities I've been getting, I'm just blessed, bro. Like I'm just gonna sit in it and just take notes and continue to grow. That's all I can do. I ain't gonna never get to the point where I'm on Netflix, I made it. I'm on 2K, I made it. You feel what I'm saying? It's like you got to keep growing and keep expanding, like, you know what I'm saying, where you trying to get to, because it's a bigger purpose, bigger than all of us. You feel what I'm saying? So,
thanks.
Thank you, Jay, so much. All right, Ms. Electric.
Hey, good
Eclectic, sorry.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm DJ Missy Eclectic from New Praise Radio. First of all, I want to say thank you, Julio, for making a movie that's about fatherhood and unity. I think it's so important. It impacts us all during especially this current climate that we're in. My question is for the artist, GAWVI, 1K Phew, any of you can answer this. What was the creative process behind syncing all the songs together for the movie? I know most of them were written and we got a remix, but what was actually the creative process? Was it watching the movie and selecting the songs, or what was it actually?
Yeah, it was just a team effort. Reach Records team and then Julio's team, the movie coming together and finding the right pieces with what we have here. And I think that was amazing. It was like a beautiful puzzle.
Absolutely. Fits perfectly together. That was my only question.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
I know
Awesome.
we're running out of time.
No, you're one. We are running out of time. I know, Kenny, you had one question. I want to make sure we got to everybody.
My name is Kenny Fresh, staff writer for Trackstars, and my question goes to probably goes to GAWVI. For so long, Reach Records was known as like the music of a movement. So how has curating the music for an entire movement, how did that help you all curate the soundtrack for this movie?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. So Reach has been known as the music for a movement, and I was wondering if how being the music for a movement helped you guys curate music for the soundtrack, because you're already used to making stuff for a movement, and this soundtrack is kind of like a movement of its own. So I wondered if that kind of played, since you guys already have experience in that field.
Yeah, I think it's really fire to see a whole roster that just the 116 movement, what we stand for, everything come to life, being curated into the movie soundtrack. Again, it made so much sense. Both same visions. Now Reach Records having Latinos on board too, on their team, me and RG. RG's from Mexico. My dad is from El Salvador. My mom's from Dominican Republic. there's a lot of things that just connected and made sense. And when you could put two movements together, I think it's beautiful. So yeah, the stars just aligned.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Awesome. All right, y'all. We are just hitting at the end. I appreciate everybody so much. I'm turning on my camera here so I can see everyone's faces. Thank you all so much for doing this. Thank you so much, Julio, GAWVI, Phew, and RG. I think his computer died. And thank you everyone for joining us today and taking the time out to hear more about the Blue Miracle soundtrack and the film. Don't forget to go check it out on Netflix on May 27th. The soundtrack drops the same day. Hit me up if you all have any questions or need any additional press materials, and I'll be in touch. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a blessed.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.